The Brave and the Bold, Batman and Wonder Woman #1 by Liam Sharp, who's writing that and drawing the art.
This needs to come with a pronunciation guide.
Do you know what? One of my first questions was, how do you pronounce this guy's name?
I have not a clue. Connor?
Let me have a look at it, because I was relatively confident when I was reading it.
You're the one with the Irish blood, so you can...
I wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head.
You're talking about the guy that didn't realize that Siobhan was spelled like Seoban.
Yeah.
Cernunos, I think.
Cernunos.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was Tirnanog, or Gog.
Tirnanog. No, I remember that because there was a kids show on in the afternoon called The Mystic Knights of Tirnanog. That I used to watch. It was like...
Nog.
Whatever.
Tirnanog.
I'll say it with my American, okay?
Tirna no give a shit. Right, so this is basically, so what was his name? Cernonius? Cernanon. He's the one ruling over the land of the fairies, where everyone they all kind of headed out, but they're all in unrest. They're all starting to riot, and he's like, "Damn it, I need help keeping the peace." So he comes to Wonder Woman, who's having sex with Steve. And he's a fertility god, so Steve freaks out a little bit, thinking, "We're not trying to do that. We're not trying to do that."
If you can, I love the horn guy. Is like, no, it's cool. It's cool. I'm the fertility god. There's nothing more I enjoy.
I know what you're doing here. It's cool.
Well, it was the phrase of I enjoy the sound of the beast of two backs. Where the sound of I forget what he said exactly, but it was the beast with two backs. And I'm just like, oh my god, okay, Sharp. You can keep writing, and if it's going to be this entertaining, I'm in.
Yeah, continue your lover's trust with the rutting of the beast with two backs.
There it is. The rutting.
There you go. So he comes for help, and she comes back with him, and basically, while he was gone, there was a murder. And they've basically just grabbed this young kid who they assume is guilty because he was with the body at the time. But Wonder Woman quite was like, "Hey, have you got evidence? Can we actually think about this before we just lynch him?"
What's evidence?
So that's set up part of the main plot of the book. The other plot, of course, is because Batman and Wonder Woman don't actually meet in this issue. Batman's just kind of on his own, and there's something weird going on in the Irish district of Gotham.
Yeah, who knew there was an Irish district in Gotham?
I feel like that's just all of a sudden because Sharp's writing a Celtic themed book.
You know what,
an Irish district.
I want a pub there that's like Bibbo's, but it's an Irish themed, and you can give that, like, you just think about the Irishman that decided to live in Gotham. That's not a dude you mess with.
They'll still have an O'Neill's in the middle of Gotham.
Yeah. Probably named Dennis O'Neill because they always name people after writers.
Oh.
They do.
I want this.
So basically, the thing that's going on in Gotham is that in this district, people have extreme lethargy where they're just kind of just standing and sauntering, not doing anything. Just
they're
kind
not
of
terrorized. They're haunted, which I thought,
It was almost like stationary zombies. I was kind of getting that kind of vibe. We're just kind of standing still and not doing anything. And Batman's like, "What's happening here? What's going on? I need to investigate this. This is a bizarre crime."
He's trying to sneak up behind people like he does to Commissioner Gordon, and they just don't care. Like,
oh dear. So that's the book. But there was a lot of this is just a personal pet for me. I hate the font they always use, the lettering they always use for when they're doing this kind of stuff. When Cernanon, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Every time he's narrating, for example, he's always got this lettering. They're going for this old timey font, and I'm like, let's make it easier to read. That and the blocky stuff they do sometimes for robots. I'm like, just, you know what? I get what you're doing, but just make it easier to read, please.
I don't mind it.
I thought this was really easy. It's when it gets all cursive that I struggle.
Cursive's the worst. Don't get me wrong. Cursive is the worst.
This here I didn't actually have any problem with. It's slightly different, but I didn't think it was difficult to read at all.
It's a pet peeve. It's not like I say.
I'm used to reading this type in Thor. This is how when Thor talks, it's the same kind of font, so that doesn't bother me too much.
Yeah.
Not everybody's talking like that, so. But no, I really liked Sharp playing with the Celtic mythology and then bringing Wonder Woman into that, and how these guys are kind of a more primitive version of her gods,
Yeah.
So they could still. It's easier for him to come in contact with her than it is for the Greek gods to come in contact with her. I like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarity. Obviously, a lot of mythologies have a lot of similarities anyway. Yeah. But in between the two sides that are in Tianano, the Dinan and the Fomori, They're kind of similar to the gods and the titans in some ways.
Hmm?
I know
So,
Connor,
yeah,
s- I know
are
Connor
based
said
off
words there, but like I have to like he's like the two
Well,
sides, these and that. I'm like,
research.
alright, sure.
Yeah. So the first one you said, not the one with the
the
D.
Danan.
Yeah, that one. Uh, they were based off of kings, and they were kind of like the legends. They're kind of like Hercules, right? They earn a
Yeah.
place there, and then the other ones are like the earth spirits.
Yeah,
And
they're
the
kind of like the old gods.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
so which I like that Sharp kind of because I'm again, I'm not continuity hawk, but because here there's no continuity, but I want I want to know what's going on. I want the full
Yeah.
context.
I know a good comparison for the Fomori is they're very similar to the Jotuns in Norse mythology, which obviously Matt you'll know all about those.
Or even
That's
the
more your
Acer.
wheelhouse.
Yeah, well, because you had the Acer and the Veneer, and then the Acer were like Odin and all them, and then you had the Vanir who were from Vanaheim,
Mm.
and they were more earthly spirits. That's where Freya came from, and she's the fertility goddess. So yeah, and again, it's no wonder that there's a lot of crossover between the Norse and the Celtic. Like there's sometimes mythology is just parallel thought amongst distant people.
Yeah, but when they're relatively close in terms of geography, there's a lot of actual just back and forth crossover
Yeah.
and pollination.
Oh, I mean, you had Donner and Thor. I mean, they're the same guy, just one's from Germany, one's from Scandinavia, but the stories are the same. So, but just the inclusion of Batman, I think here he kind of felt like he was on the back burner a little.
Yeah, I can see where it's going. Wonder Woman's going to be like, okay, there's a crime. We need a detective.
Yeah.
Let's go get Batman. I can see it go in that direction. It's just in this issue, Batman himself feels a little superfluous.
Yeah, I like this issue. I didn't love it. Like I'm not as super into the mythology stuff here as I'm sure you two are.
Yeah, it's my sweet spot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I'm not against it. It's not like It's not quite like how I feel about magic. Like Celtic mythology is a bit more interesting to me because there's a bit more stuff going on there. But because there's some beautiful imagery in here, like that they're climbing up the sort of the rock staircase that's just kind of floating.
Oh,
in,
when they're walking across the Giant's Causeway.
Yeah.
Is this a thing? Is
No,
this not? Yeah.
Yeah.
The Giant's Causeway is a real place in Northern Ireland.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's between
Yeah.
Northern Ireland and England, right?
Used to
Yeah,
me-
yeah. And the legend is that there was two giants, one on either country, that wanted to fight each other.
Yep.
So they just threw rocks into the sea and then made a pathway so they could have at it.
I have literally never heard this before, so this is amazing.
These are my patrons, guys.
No, it's a huge tourist spot, Giant's Causeway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's also the story of Finn McCool.
Yes, he's one of the ones that threw the rocks in.
I love that story of Finn McCool. I wish we should get a comic of that. Sharp, if you're listening.
Yeah, get on it.
Obviously, the art's gorgeous. Pretty much start to finish.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same sharp art. I can always appreciate it, especially his Wonder Woman and Steve. It made me feel like I was reading Rucka again without, I mean, granted, they're completely different styles of writing, but the imagery was there.
Yeah,
It
I mean,
was
for
comfortable.
me, the art was definitely the more selling point in the story. I think the story's fine. I think the story's kind of like serviceable. This sounds harsh, maybe, but it's good. Right, but the art's the real kind of what's pushing it over
I mean,
the
I'm
edge.
going to
and
check
making it
out part 2.
enjoyable.
This isn't like
Oh yeah, issue 2's getting read.
it wasn't like Odyssey of the Amazons where I lost interest halfway through. This I'm definitely in, and I've never read Sharp. I don't know if this is the first time he's written something and drawn at the same time, but I'm liking his storytelling.
Yeah. I really quite like his Batman, because obviously we've not really seen him do Batman much before, if at all, I'm not sure. But that panel where it's Batman's kind of getting the vision of all the stuff that's going on, and it goes back to us. The way he draws the cape and stuff looks so good.
I'm actually going to disagree with that.
Really?
I'm not a big fan of the wide shoulders, but then the cape goes thinner in the back.
Oh, I love it. I'm really open on how the cape is drawn. Just depending on the mood of the book.
Well, I like if you're an artist, you can put your own spin on it. So, You know,
Don't get me wrong, I
Batman
respect
looks
it because he's not the first artist to do this. This is definitely harkening back to older styles of Batman. That particular is kind of like, you know, bulkier shoulders, but then the cape goes thin and goes out again. I've never really been a fan of that shape of the It feels weird to talk about Batman's body that way, but it's just the way they draw him sometimes.
I just like
He
that.
doesn't like Batman with an hourglass figure. That's all he's saying.
Batman has a cape for every occasion. He's like, well, which one shall I wear today?
Because I don't mind, because he's also got I don't mind the puffier, like when it comes out of his suit at the front, it's got like a sort of puffier baggy sort of to it. I don't mind that. I actually think that's fine. It's just kind of the shape from the back. It's kind of a weird thing for me, but whatever.
The one that gets me is if they draw the ears too tall. That one always, I'm just like there's a sweet spot where they can be too low or they can be too high. And
the ears are quite tall on this. They're not quite too tall, but they're taller than average.
Again, there's a sweet spot.
They've been generally too short in Rebirth, though, so I was kind of pleasantly happy to see some tall ears in this book.
When he strikes the silhouette, you want to see the ears there.
Yeah.
You know.